so much for joining me here today on this lovely Sunday afternoon. I know that there's tons of things you could be doing, so appreciate you taking the time to be here. So yes, this is my clothing line called Art Invasions. And before I start talking about the clothing line, I want to give you some background information about myself so you could kind of understand where this clothing line developed. So my first dream when I was 8 years old was to be a fashion designer. And that's literally all I could talk about. Like all my friends, all my teachers, they know, they're like, okay, you want to be a fashion designer. So when I was 19, I journeyed to California, to Los Angeles to follow that dream. And within those 3.5 years, I started off, because I couldn't afford fashion school, I Googled up the most affordable fashion school, and it was a school called FCI, Fashions Career International. Sounds fancy, but it's really cheap. And pretty much my goal was I wanted to network, get an internship, and then work my way up since I couldn't afford to spend $60,000 in fashion school. So that's what I did. I got an internship with this amazing saleswoman called Jennifer Hutton. She has her own showroom where she reps different designers, and through that job I learned how to sell, how to be a merchandiser, and to just like be her assistant, because we would travel all over California and Nevada. And then 1 year of being her assistant, I applied another job called Montereno, and there I started off in sales, and then I was promoted to be sales manager, and then within the 3rd year I became the creative director. And with those like 6 months of being the creative director, I was able to help product development, design, they still had me work in sales, but I was also doing both. But then in May of 2017 was when I had a psychosis at work, where I was pretty much, at that time, like I lost my mind. Like I was banging my head at a lunch table for an hour, and then they called the cops on me, and then I was institutionalized, and I was later diagnosed with manic bipolar depression. So my mom came, kidnapped me back to Minnesota. She's like, you're gonna stay here, I'm gonna work on your mental health. And I went through that healing journey of like, okay, you have bipolar, like how do we heal with this? Like what are all the things that I need to do to maintain my mental health? But I'm still a dreamer, I still love fashion. So about 2.5 years of moving back home, I started a nonprofit called Creative Healing Space, which promotes art therapy, mental health, and healing. And I just believe strongly in my heart that art has such a powerful healing element, because it helped me so much, and I want to share that with my community and essentially with anyone that will listen. So when I saw that the Department of Public Transformation had this, Ignite World, the residency program, I knew I had to apply, because I had this clothing line idea for 3 years prior, and this was it. So now when I found out that I got it, I was like, okay, this is the universe way of saying you're ready, here's your chance. So the concept is I want to not only put artwork onto clothing, but artwork with a message, whether that's with mental health, some is about missing Indigenous women, trying to raise more awareness, or about being bipolar, or whatever that the artist finds important for them. So the first piece that I would like to share, this one is an artwork of mine. It's actually a huge shadow box of about 20 faces. It's literally the size of a huge window, and it's at the Minnesota West College in Worthington. And I made this piece because when I was struggling with accepting that I had bipolar, I realized a lot of people with mental illnesses, you can't tell they have mental illnesses by looking at them. So they're just different faces, of men and women. And then in the middle, there's a mirror. So when someone looks at it, they also see themselves, because mental illness comes in various shapes and you just never know who has it. So that's kind of the message behind that. This piece is called Reflection. And then this one, as you can see, it's about, battling between the calm and the storm, pretty much. That's how I would describe being bipolar, is that you're either really happy, really excited, or you're really sad. So I made this piece because I was trying to pretty much reconcile with my mental illness. And this next piece, I made this I think the first year that I was back in Worthington after living in Los Angeles, and this piece is called, excuse my language, F, Society's Expectation, because I just felt so much pressure. Like, I had to get married, I have to get a good job, I have to do all these things. I'm like, I want to be an artist, I want to create, I want to perform. Like, why can I do that? Like, why is that wrong and this is right? So when I made that, that was kind of like how I was feeling. This piece is made by a dear friend of mine, Samantha Brink, and she named this piece Childhood. Pretty much she just reminisced on the good times which she had with her mother. So this piece means a lot to her. And the next one, I call this piece The Caged Bride. So growing up, I witnessed a lot of domestic violence in my family, like with my aunts, and also just hearing stories about other people, domestic violence. So when I made this, like I made like a white wedding dress and there's like a bird cage on top, because at that time, that's how I felt marriage was a trap. So that's why it's like in a dark forest and there's wells and ghosts and golems around it. However, like my mind has shifted, but that's how I felt at the time. So just being honest. And then this piece was made by Stephanie Flores. She took an inspiration from Van Gogh, the Starry Night, and then she also loves K-pop artists, so she combined them together. And then I named this piece Alone at Night, because usually when people get really deep in their thoughts is when they're alone, and it could go either really dark or really inspiring. So that's what I named it. And then the next piece, which is actually my personal favorite, I named this piece Know My Name. It is created by Erin Langendorfer, and she made this sculpture because she wanted to raise more awareness about missing Indigenous women. And I personally want to help, be an advocate for that, because I'm a victims advocate with the Southwest Crisis Center, and I do know that Native women just don't get enough representation, enough advocacy. So this piece is just like my personal favorite. And then this one is about having seasonal affective depression. The mountain represents the depression, and then the different phases represents like the emotions that one can go through. This one is called Dirty Money. So you might want to look at it closely. You will see like a snake, and that represents the sex trafficking industry. And then in the middle, I have, what people would assume is a typical victim is blonde hair, blue eyes, because that's what the media will mostly cover. And then in the bottom, you also see kids of color, because they also go missing, but the media don't really give them the attention. And then here is just a person holding a piece of paper with a smiley face, because that represents the workers of the industry. Like, they are easily replaceable. People put them in jail, and then the next one takes their place. And then this is just to represent a dirty politician, because they exist and a lot of them are involved in that industry. So I made this about 3 years ago, and it's called Dirty Money. And then this one is made by Stephanie Flores. I positioned the artwork this way because it's pointing at your heart if you're wearing it, and this one is called Right There, because I think what's in the heart is the most important. So that's kind of why I put it that way. So does anybody have any question? Because I know I've kind of been rambling. No? Okay, I'm almost done, halfway there. Alright, so the next piece was created by a high schooler. He loves soccer, he's really athletic. So when he submitted his artwork, I thought, you know what, it'd be cool if it's like done in a stitching instead of like, printed like this, because I wanted to give it like a sporty look. And you actually will see his photos. He actually looks like phenomenal, and it was made just for him. And this piece, I named it Launching, because it's like this character is launching upward. And then the next piece is done by Erin again, the woman who made this sculpture. And this one is called Know Yourself, because in order to really master our life, we have to master ourselves first, knowing what our weaknesses and strengths are. So with the heart, I thought that would be a good name. And then this one, so all the photos that you've seen was taken by my creative partner and photographer and videographer, Virgil Serta. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it today, but he designed this piece, and this is supposed to represent tears and battling with mental health, and then in the back he just put make mental health your priority. So love this one too. And then also this is another one of his, and I named this Heartache. So it's like an axe hitting the lungs, and again, he's a huge advocate for mental health. This piece, I don't know if you've seen the design, but I call this feminist. And the reason why I really want to also highlight this piece is because, like, I just noticed, you know, being an artist and coming back to a small town, like, there is a lot of, like, insecurity and competition vibe, and I'm not for that. I'm for, like, uplifting other people, because I believe everybody has a place for who they are, and I just want to encourage people to, like, stop comparing and start uplifting. So, like, to me, feminist, like, describes this vibe, because the model, who you'll see, she just really channeled that piece perfectly, and I'll, like, remember to point it out when she shows up. And then this one, okay, so the artist who created this was only 16 years old. Her name is Eleanor Tering, and she used crayons to create this. So it's incredible, like, what you could do with whatever you have. And she made this piece, it's called Exhausted, because she was overstimulated, you know, just balancing all these things. So she wanted her artwork to reflect that. And she's also the model. Oh, so that's the feminist piece I was telling you about. See what I mean? Like, it's just, she's channeled that vibe. And then this one, the artist is Leah Gossam. She's also my co-president with my nonprofit. She spent years, like, doing her PhD and studying abroad for her master's, and for her MFA, her PhD in art history. So when she submitted this artwork, it really just reminds her of Prague, and, you know, it brings her back to one of the happiest times of her life. And I thought it would look cute on a tote, so I put it on a tote. And then, can I have our model stand up, please? Come over here. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Eric.
So Eric is a volunteer model that I just casted today, about an hour ago. And what he's wearing right now is kind of our jacket. I just wanted to have, like, a statement piece where it has our logo on it, because the medicine, so, like, our motto is art is medicine. So art invasions, like, when people look at it, I want them to know, like, it's healing, it's medicine. And then if you want to turn around, the hat that he's wearing is also our statement piece. So yeah, that's all of my collection today. Let me know if you have questions.
Woo! Thanks, Eric.
Okay, I gotta drink some water. So I have a question. How did you find some of your local artists? Did you put out a call? Were these people you knew? Or
Yeah, I
how
did
that process go?
various different ways. So I did a poster where I posted all over social media looking for models, looking for artists. And then I did, like, a newspaper. I had somebody write an article about the project, and that was posted online. And then I also just, you know, word of mouth. And then the artist that you see here is, one of them, I had to buy the artwork because she just didn't know about the opportunity, but I wanted her piece so bad. So I'm like, can I buy it from you? She's like, go ahead. Nobody's ever, like, offered to buy my artwork before. But the rest, they've all submitted. And then a lot of it, you know, is mine, so.
And what is the age range? I mean, you talk about a 16
The youngest is 16, and then Leah, the one who designed the tote, she's in her 40s, so. And then I put, like, because even Holly knows about this, like, when I posted on social media, at first I was trying to do youth, they're like 21, because I want to give youth the opportunity, but then Facebook banned all my posts, they're like, oh, you're discriminating. So I'm like, okay, I'll just make it all ages, so then, like, anybody who was able to, you know, be a part of it. But yeah, so lesson learned on that. Like, when you post on my Facebook, don't discriminate ages, because they will block your post.
I have a question. So you are a multimedia artist. You do sculpture, you do visual, two-dimensional work, and you are also a fashion designer. Can you talk about some of the pros, cons, challenges, strengths of the fashion industry as an art form, and how that relates to some of your other creative practice?
Yeah, so going back to like why I had a psychosis, pretty much what happened was because I was really good at sales. My boss recognized that, and that's why they promoted me to be creative director. They pretty much sent me all over the country to go to trade shows. And the industry itself, to me, wasn't too kind. The girls were very catty, and because I did like so good in sales, a lot of my coworkers didn't like me because my sales were high, and pretty much like I was isolated, I was bullied. But because my dream to be a fashion designer was so strong, I was able to like bypass that. But I tolerated bullying, I tolerated a lot of toxicity. So what led up to my psychosis was pretty much just a lot of like unprocessed stress and trauma that made me bang my head on a desk. I mean, I can laugh about it now, but I just want to like share that the fashion industry is just, because everyone's so replaceable that they just don't really treat their employees with like the best, like, you know, I don't know, like, so anyways, like, I wanted to change that. Like, with this clothing line, it doesn't matter how you look, like, it doesn't matter how much you weigh or how tall you are, like, I want to empower artists to create and also to model their own design. A lot of the designers actually modeled, you know, their collection, and some were just really shy, so I respected that. But I really want to like share that it doesn't matter how you look like, because at the end of the day, on average, nobody is like, you know, 6 foot tall, size 2. So I want like to shift the dynamic that people have to be a certain size to model their clothes. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
But yeah.
So are you selling these?
Yes, that's the plan. So this collection, because I was blessed with, you know, the Department of Public Transformation to get the money to start this, 100% of the sales will go to my nonprofit, Creative Healing Space, that promotes mental health and art therapy. And then the next collection and the next will be 20% will go to Creative Healing Space, because girl gotta eat, you know. But that's my plan, is this collection will all go to Creative Healing Space. The website I plan is gonna be live in September, because most of the collection is like hoodies and long sleeves, so it'll be more like for fall and winter. And then moving forward, like I plan on doing it every year and then just continue growing it. But you know, for now I'm starting in Worthington. And yes, I will definitely mark you when the website goes live, and you know, feel free to help share and tell people about it, because all of it will go back to a nonprofit. So can I ask which one that I've shown like resonates with you the most? Like if you have to pick, like if you were to buy it for someone or want to buy it for yourself or a couple, which one would you pick?
I mean, I like all the artwork. I think it depends on who I'd be buying it for.
Okay, I like that. You're gonna be buying more than one.
Van Gogh, so the first one I picked would probably be the one that's modeled after Starry Night, because I love that painting anyway.
I love the yellow, the wedding one.
Yeah,
It's also
that's
my
good.
fault, but I love the cage bride.
Yeah, I like that too.
I do, I like that art.
That's the one that probably stands out.
I like that art, I like that artwork switch. I connect the most with the 16-year-old.
Exhausted? Yeah, I figured, because
That is really
it's a
cool.
very.
I mean, I think that's in our time so relatable, and it breaks my heart that a 16-year-old feels that way.
Yeah.
But it kind of reinforces this observation of how exhausted our teens are from everything, you know, you have to be a great athlete by 6, and then, you know, the
lots of
pressures
pressure. Exactly.
of performance, of being someone. Get all your college credits in before you graduate. I mean, there's so much
Exactly.
that's
get it.
different now, you know, from somebody observing from the 80s going, you know, 70s and 80s going through school. And so it saddens me that that's a 16-year-old today, because that wasn't the 16-year-old I remember growing up. But our lives have changed, and being an adult in this day feels a lot like that.
And that's why, like, this is Creative Healing Space coming in, because I understand, like, in a capitalistic society where they try and monetize everyone. I get that, like, you want people to like step into the workforce, but take good care of them. Bring more art, bring more nature, bring more mindfulness into the workforce to take care of your employees. And like, that's kind of like the message Creative Healing Space is like trying to push, is more art, more grounding, more nature, to simultaneously, you know, go with the other whatever avenues that, you know, the students will go into for their career. Like, that's one of my goals, is like, I don't want anyone to go through what I did, where you get so burnt out that, you know, you bang your head on a desk and they call the cops on you. So like, because I'm like a huge advocate for mental health, like I really want Creative Healing Space to be like, you know, a huge mascot for more healing, more art. Stop cutting programs of art. Stop like doing that. Like, instead, more programs of art, more music, more, you know, anything healing. Because if you want your employees to perform well, you have to take good care of them. Because medicine, just anxiety meds is not enough. Because then they'll just take more and more and they'll become addicts. So that's not the solution. Anyways, I'm preaching to the choir because you guys all know that. But, thank you so much for like being here. It's truly an honor. This is my first time like talking about this collection. You know, it's been my dreams. I've been having this idea for a couple years, and I just always pushed it behind, like, oh, I don't have money, I don't have enough time. But because of, you know, this organization, like, they help support me to birth this dream to life. And now I'm like so excited for it to come.
We're so excited to know you and so happy to have you in our orbit. This is incredible work, Suri. Thank you so much. We have a round of applause for Suri. Thank you.